Greetings, it's your buddy, your pal, your friend, your teacher, your guide, ABW, Uncle Artist, and I want to talk briefly about game for the good-looking man, the attractive, handsome man. Now that's subjective, right? But you know when you're good-looking. Um, if you haven't been told multiple times throughout your life by women how attractive you are, you're probably just average or goddamn ugly. It is what it is. That doesn't mean you can't have game, you can't have your way with women. That doesn't mean that at all. Because more often than not, from my experience, just my observation, the guys who have the hottest girls have their way with women usually aren't that good looking. They really aren't. They have other things working for them. They have the game. They just been blessed with the game. They got money and status to work for them. Combination of all those things, and they're just of average looks, or even goddamn uglies. Like I done seen some ugly motherfuckers that have their way. It's baffling, and vice versa. Contrarily, I see quite a number of exceptionally, I'm talking exceptionally attractive. And I don't look at myself that way, but um, I've been told, I've been put in that category. Okay, so I can speak from humbly from experience. I guess you could say that I am exceptionally attractive, right? Um, and I say that again humbly, but saying that because I've been out in the field enough to understand the reactions that I can get from women that are just different. And I I don't apologize for that. I do understand that there is a level of uh, shit that was out of control, out of beyond my control. I can't control my whatever, my bone structure, my genes, my genetics that have made me exceptionally attractive. My brother, we we kind of look the same. We kind of look similar, and he's more vain than I am, but he's a good looking guy. Okay, I say he's my brother. He's a good looking guy. My cousins, attractive guys, right? Um, so, but there's a difference between me and them. I They don't necessarily just have their way. Well, one of my cousins does. One of my cousins, he got game. Another one doesn't. Okay, my brother, he don't have no game. He's very good looking. He don't have no game. Me, I'm and I don't want to make this about me, but I am my best subject of study, so I have to use that. So understanding, being out in the field, understanding the dynamics of how the reactions I get from certain women. I understand what game is about specifically for a handsome, ext- uniquely attractive guy, right? Um, because I see so many attractive guys. I have being an attractive male, you inevitably will, and there's no gay shit nothing like that. It's just you will attract other good looking guys, whether it be from being working out, having being in the gym or whatever. Uh, you'll see a convergence of certain personalities, certain types, right? I'm really pretty much a loner, but uh, in my casual circles, I can attract. I might be around other exceptionally attractive guys, right? Just hanging out, whatever. Um, and those guys don't have any game. And see, the thing about it is, being exceptionally attractive works very well for you when you are younger. When you're in your teens, and this is the pattern that I've seen. I've seen the pattern of a young man, exceptionally attractive, great body, great face, all that. Maybe have the height. Great. I'm not very tall. I'm 5'10", 5'11". Want to put on some boots, so I'm in the mix. I'm not tall, but I'm in the mix. Usually don't get rejected by my height. I have been rejected because of my height, and I think I've talked about short, the stature thing, and we'll talk more about that. How that's not a deterrent for you, right? But anyway, you're a good looking guy. You're 5'10", 5'11" or more. If you're 5'11" or taller, if you're 5'10" is pretty much the baseline as far as like what women would be like. Okay, it's a good height, and then once you're beyond that, you're golden. And if you're good looking and you're tall, bam, so you in the game. But that usually works when from about 22 and lower. That really works for you to where you don't really have to have your game, as long as you don't over talk, fuck your shit up. You just don't have that a terrible personality. You usually gonna have make your way with women, and that's when college age that works for you. But once you'll notice, I've seen this pattern. This is again from experience, from observation. The older you get, the more you're just gonna have to come with more than just your looks, and then it gets to a point where you will actually get it possibly rejected because of your good looks. And I've seen this, and I've experienced it, not so much. I've experienced how it could teeter totter, at least for me, like to where I could see where it was going because of my good looks, right? And then I got the game, so I can overturn all that. So it's not a problem. So let me talk about that. When you are very exceptionally good looking, this is for guys, more mainly when you're in your 30s and up, right? 25, 27, 30 and up. Because that's when guys that I've seen, that's the demographic of good looking guys I've seen struggle with women. And with getting women, with maintaining relationships with women. Um, First of all, if you're in a relationship and you're good looking and you having a hard time maintaining this a good dynamic with a woman, you know that she's not just once you get her, uh, she's not enamored with you as she might have been when she first saw you because you were so good looking. Now she gets to know you and the shine is kind of worn off. Um, Consider the fact: are you giving her that pipe? Are you giving her that meat right? If you're not giving her that meat right, yeah, that goes without saying. Ugly dudes or average dudes are inherently going to usually. Now I'm just saying this is from I don't know personally. I just know talking to women, they'll remark how the ugly guys or the average looking guys are going to come with more vigor and fervor in their meat slanging endeavors because they feel like they have to, or it's just one of those things. Ugly guys are gonna slang some more meat, just like no different than the ugly fat girls, or ugly girls or fat girls gonna give you that sloppy toppy like that gok, what they say, the gok 3000 whatever. They gonna come with it because they feel like they have to. They gotta overcome. They gotta compensate. They gotta step their game up. And it's a thing for guys. It's a thing for, and this is again coming from women. It's a thing for guys with exceptionally large penises to be um, sour sops in the bed, and it's a thing for guys who are very good looking, very handsome and muscular and everything to be subpar in the bed. So if you are good looking, and this is coming from my experience. If you are good looking, which I can attest to that. If you are very good looking, have your body straight, and you come with some penis on her. Yeah, what? You, it's a wrap, dog. You really gonna have your way. And again, humbly speaking, I know this, and I've been in the situation. I've been in that situation where a woman, before we get intimate, she's enamored with me and how I look, my body, and everything. And then once we're intimate and I fulfill that fantasy all the way through, man, it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, you cover the bases, cover your bases as far as your meat slinging endeavors. You got to make her squeal, squirt, squirm, all that. Do that, of course. Now let's back up. I apologize. Now, let's back up. Now, when it comes to just the approach, when it comes to the approach, as far as shooting your shot, whether it's a cold approach, you've never met her before, or it's a more warm, you've been familiar with her. As a good looking guy, you have to be, if you, as an exceptionally handsome man, you have to be aware of your personality and how you come across, because if you are exceptionally good looking, and this has been my thing, I know how good looking guys in certain for certain people are perceived. So there's a real thing for women to want to knock a guy off his pedestal, so to speak. It's a thing to try to knock a man's ego, especially when he's very good looking. Women just there's a certain faction of women that get off to crushing a good looking man's ego. So the way you counteract that is that you come in extremely humble, gentleman like you, like I don't even I've never I don't even like you have to have the humility of an ugly guy. That sounds weird, but no, you have to have the humility that you are ugly. I don't know a better way to say it right now, but be humble. Be very humble, extremely humble. That works because it disarms people, especially women. It be a little self-effacing. Now, don't make it corny. If I've seen exceptionally good-looking guys talk about, oh well, I'm ugly, so and that's corny. Don't do that shit. Don't even talk about your looks. Don't refer to your looks at all. I've seen so many handsome guys, extremely good-looking guys that they can't help their vanity. They just can't help being vain. They've been told they've been good-looking all their life or for so long that they just can't help but talk about their body, their looks, their teeth, their dimples, whatever. Don't even make that a subject at all. Don't refer to yourself at all. Be as humble and down to earth, and maybe a little. Don't appear so overconfident. Confidence really works when you are confident. Overconfidence works for the ugly guys. It does. It doesn't work for the extremely attractive guy. For the extremely attractive guy, and I know that's counter to what you may have been taught. Oh, be confident. Yeah, be confident. Even as an extremely attractive guy, you have to be confident because, uh, yeah, you don't want to appear as a weakling. You don't want to appear too um, shy and sheepish. You don't want to do that. But there's a balance of just down to earthness that is very necessary for a good looking guy. A good looking guy more than any other category of men. Extremely, I'm talking extremely. Now, let me show you this because now I've never been on Tinder. I've seen my partners be on Tinder, so I know what it kind of looks like. I guess as far as the interface. Well, no, I don't even think I know what the interface looks like because apps change and stuff. But let me show you this real quick. This I thought the and I thought this was appropriate because I don't think there's a lot of guys who don't realize what I'm talking about as far as good looking. Okay, and this explains it better than I can say. It says unless you are really hot, you are probably better off not wasting your time on Tinder. Now, Tinder is not the world, but it gives you a little microcosm into female nature. Um, and it talks about how here, right here, the bottom 80% of men, in terms of attractiveness, are competing for the bottom 22% of women, and the top 78% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. Basically, what that shows you is that women are a lot more picky in um, their rating of attractiveness. They're a lot more picky when it comes to men and their what they deem as attractive. 78% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. So it's rare air for as far as what women deem as attractive. It's bad enough that I always say this is bad enough that women outnumber us. Okay, so there's less men, and then there's even less group of attractive men. So that actually can work in your favor, but you have to have the game. You got to have the game. You got to be aware of what you bring to the table. Let's read this. It says the number. There's a big difference in the number of likes an attractive guy receives versus an unattractive guy. Duh. I want to understand this trend more. Let's see. The average female likes 12% of men on Tinder. Fighting over the bond. The male is likely to like the female 6.2 times more often than the female likes the male. See, women are just more, especially on online. Women are going to be a lot more picky, a lot more selective in what they deem as attractive. So you have to understand that, especially if you're coming with the online game. If you make your uh, and if you are so that tells us that if you are in that group, you already got half of the game sold up. You just have to not fuck it up. And so many attractive guys fuck it up, or they just put themselves out of position again by being appearing too cocky. A lot of times that'll put you out the game. Now cockiness, man, it's very nuanced because um, there's got to be a balance to it. Because again, through my experience, there's been times. Now, usually, I'll say it like this: when you are first approaching, you want to appear humble. But there has to come a time, and it is going to come a time. So, okay, so there's usually, and if you've been in the pursuit of women, if you've been in different relationships and different situations with women, you know there's a bit of a pattern. You approach them, or y'all make that introduction, right? And then there's a build up as far as the conversation. And usually nowadays, of course, this is through text. It's through text, through messages. Um, People really don't have phone conversations like that anymore. You may meet up in person and have more casual conversations, but there's a build up, right? There's a pattern. There's a build up. Introduction, and you start building a little bit of rapport. In that initial stage, you want to be as humble and as gentlemanlike as possible. Sprinkle in a little of your confident cockiness just to, you know, add a little balance and levity to this, right? Because you don't just want to be self-effacing, appear as um, weak or as unsure, insecure. Okay, so there's a balance with that, and because too much humbleness, too much accommodation, too much niceness is going to work in. It's not going to work in your favor. It's going to work to your disadvantage. But there has to be that, especially again, you are extremely good looking. You're attractive, so you're playing by slightly different rules than the rest of the guys, right? You want to be a little more humble than the rest, but you still want to sprinkle in your confidence. Let them know that you are somebody, a force to be reckoned with. You are, I'm here. I am him. Okay. Don't let them forget that. Now, and it's important in this go. Now this is just general. This is general game. It's important to make yourself distinguish yourself. Now, distinct. Now, in this regard, you are distinguishing yourself from other extremely attractive guys. Not just guys. Period. You are distinguishing yourself from other guys, and especially other extremely attractive guys, because usually extremely attractive guys are going to be, because they've been coddled, they may have missed out on certain lessons, so they may have personality defects that that's a pattern, that is a pattern with extremely good looking guys. I've said it before that extremely attractive guys are going to miss fundamentals. They're going to be lacking in some of the fundamentals when it comes to male female interaction, because they've skipped a lot of those steps. They didn't have to learn a lot of those fundamentals because they just got straight. They were able to reap the benefits of being good looking straight off the rip. You are the opposite of that. You have those fundamentals. You have those the ability to hold a conversation. You have the ability to ask questions and not make it about you. Put them put them on the spot, so to say, to make them feel, you know, it's just it's basic interaction as far as putting the spotlight on the other person, making them feel warm and welcome, right? Uh, that's basic skills when it comes to any type of dynamic, but especially in a female male dynamic, you don't want to make it all about you, right? You make them feel comfortable. Comfort is everything with a female, especially. Excuse me. And so you want to distinguish yourself from other good-looking guys as far as your personality. You want to distinguish yourself as far as your interests. Um, so many good-looking guys, they are into just maintaining their good looks or things that are pertaining to their good looks. They talk about the gym. They talk about maybe some guys talk about their products, their beauty products and stuff. Don't do none of that shit. Don't do none of that goofy shit. None of that. Talk about reading. Talk about books you've read. Talk about interesting places you've been, and don't name drop and all that. All that goofy shit like who you've been around that's famous and shit like that. Like show yourself to be an interesting character, a man of depth, a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge. That is extremely important for an attractive guy, because again, you want to separate yourself from all the other shallow attractive guys out there. An attractive guy needs to, and now this again, this applies to all men across the board, but especially for the attractive man. If you're an extremely attractive man, there may be possibly a perception in the female's mind that you're a beautiful man, so there's no edge to you. Always display what type of edge you have, whether that be through stories. Now me, my stories are real. I'm not saying anything. I've lived a pretty eclectic life. It just happened to be that way. Just through my journey. Certain twists and turns I've made. Um, I'm definitely not as refined and as educated I hope and sophisticated as I hope I appear. The fact of the matter is, I am from where I am. I am a product of my environment, good and bad, indifferent. I'm a product of a loving home, but I am a product of the outer home, the hood. So to speak. I'm a nigga. So I get into shit. I've gotten into shit, and I did shit, and but if that makes me have a so-called edge, for lack of a better term, then that's what it is. And I'm just being me. This is just me. You know. But anyway, that I'm able to step out of myself and be and understand that gives me uh, more of an interesting personality, interesting edge. I understand that about myself, and I play on that. I tell my stories, my tales of the stupid shit I did as far as in the streets and that type of shit. And you don't have to tell your no war stories. Um, you don't have to tell any fake stories, but uh, really you should just always be living a life of exploration, of discovery, and that is inevitably going to give you more depth. Again, that's going to give you more depth. That's going to give you a little bit more um, excitement. Oh, you have to display that you can be dangerous. Jordan Peterson. That's a famous clip of Jordan Peterson talking about a man needs to have an edge. A man needs to be dangerous. And that has drawn a lot of conversation in agreement and in opposition. But I totally believe that. And again, I'm just me. But I understand what makes me me. I'm able to step outside of myself and understand what makes me me and what makes me so-called interesting or attractive to certain women beyond just my looks and the fact that I can handle myself physically. I'm not. I'm a square. I'm a square. I'm a lame. I'm a homebody. I'm a married man. Shit, pretty lame. But uh, that's because I choose to be. Because I'm just I'm just chill. What they say there's a saying that uh, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, and I think that perfectly describes me. Like I'm with all the shits if I have to be. Uh, I'm with all the shits if I have to be. I've done all the shits. I've been through that prerequisite. I've been through that gauntlet. Not so much, but I've touched. You know, and it's not about that. It's not even about that. That's my story. If I didn't have to do anything. I haven't had to do anything that I haven't had to do. What am I saying? I haven't had to do anything. I just did shit. Just gotten into shit. Life has led me where it's led me. But it's made for some interesting stories. Point is, I'm trying to say, I know I'm rambling. Point is that a woman just needs to know that you have that capacity. How you convey that to her, I don't know. That's actually, you just have to embody it. Something really you really can't fake. So that goes back to always doing the inner work. Um, if if you've lived a more sheltered life, if you've lived a life that does not been so, and there's guys who have way more interesting stories, war stories, shit like that than I do. Yeah, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I just but I've gotten into shit, done shit, seen shit. You probably have too, but if you haven't, a woman just needs to know that you can at least protect her, of course, or protect yourself. Goddamn, just have that edge. Just be a little bit more interesting, not cookie cutter. Um, not be so square. I'm a square. I'm a lame. I'm a nerd. Been that. Always been that. Never shied away from that. But I'm you know I'm me. I'm able to again be with the shits, hang with different hang in different environments, and without compromising who I really am, who I truly am, be able to connect on different levels. So I can go to networking events and rub shoulders with millionaires and not be fake about it and just be me. And then I can, hang out with my little nephew and him and his boys, and and I like and that's another thing. Hang if you're older, now don't be goofy about it, don't be lame about it. Again, but keep keep the energy of the youngins around you somehow, some way. If you got nephew, you got godsons, get into some type of mentorship, coaching. Keep some young energy around you. It'll work to your advantage. It'll help you um, as far as your mentoring skills, but then it'll also help you just stay a little fresh. Anyway, what I was saying is that I'm able to interact with and my nephew, bless his heart, pray for him. He's into the streets and stuff like that, and I try to not preach to him because I know that's not going to work. But I just try to drop gems on him and his friends. But it is a little refreshing to be around them, to see how they are, how I can interact with them, and not. I'm not condoning, or I'm not trying to play like I'm a part of their world like that. But every now and then I'm able to draw from certain experiences, either experiences that I've seen, I've been a part of myself, or that I had close friends that say, well, I had a partner like, because I've had, I mean, and this is true. I have uncles, cousins, friends. I can drop gems on them from what I've seen as far as what they're living. And some of the time, I can drop anecdotes from my own personal experience, and that's important. To keep that perspective. But you want to just have an edge, man. Just I don't know what you have to do to if you got to manufacture that. Take some boxing classes. Um, get around some different energy. Me, I'm a person who I float in between different groups. And I'm mostly a loner, but I'm able to float between different groups, and that helps me um, collect these experiences and these perspectives, and just be a person of depth. That's all. That's all I can really say. And that goes back to my mantra that I always preach: being a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge. So you use your observation skills. You use the skill of being able to listen, being able to dissect and to synthesize information, simplify and synthesize and simplify. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. If you're a good looking, extremely good looking guy, don't just depend on your good looks. That's the moral. That doesn't excuse you from still being a man of depth, well read, well traveled. Well, more than well read. I mean, more than well traveled is well read, because you can be well traveled and still not be not have that depth. Because if you've hit just the usual spots, the Miami, the Atlanta, and all that, that type of shit, and all you do is the tourist stuff, that doesn't give you the depth that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you know, me, especially in my young years. I would have experiences where I'm moving around and really get into the go to different places and really get into like the neighborhoods, really get into the city and really see what it's about. It's always been what I'm about, and I don't like going to just the 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 spots that are so popping. Like I like to go to maybe like a Lafayette, Louisiana, and go to the you know to the to the spots. That's all I can say. Do that. Be like I always preach, man. Be a little bit more curious about life, and that's going to inevitably play out in who you are, your personality. But yeah, that's all I want to say, man. I had a lot more to say and it didn't come out quite how I wanted, but you get my drift, man. It's no different. You got to constantly be making yourself well rounded. This is your buddy, your pal, your friend, your teacher, your guide, ABW. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell me what, if you're an extremely good looking guy, tell me what your experience has been, what advice you have, or what type of challenges you've met as an extremely good looking guy. Signing out, ABW. Take care.